Game devs Dontnod are known for their rich storytelling in their games, and Banishers Ghosts of New Eden promises to be another interesting one for gamers who love their stories. Banishers seems to bring together two aspects from two very different Dontnod games: the paranormal period piece of Vampire, and the overarching moral choices presented by the first Life is Strange. We join our protagonists, Red and Antea, as they head towards the town of New Eden to fulfill a request as Banishers. Banishers are like exorcists who investigate hauntings to bring closure and peace to both the ghosts with unfinished business and the living who are plagued by the former's presence. Our protagonists arrive in New Eden to find out that it's haunted by a very rare, very powerful breed of ghost, the Nightmare. They eventually confront the ghost, where Antea loses her life and Red barely survives. In a cruel twist of fate, Antea turns into a ghost herself, bound to the world of the living because of her strong ties to her lover and apprentice Red. And Antea gains new supernatural powers that come with being a ghost. However, she is on borrowed time. Red has a chance to bring her back to life through a very risky, very forbidden ritual called Lesser Palingenesis. And so we're presented with a choice: uphold the principles of a banisher, life to the living, death to the dead, or be reunited in life with Antea against all odds.
Life to the living, death to the dead.
They deal with all this while preparing to face the Nightmare once again. Banishers pulls you in with mystery and fascinating paranormal world building. The game made me want to know more about how the paranormal of this world worked. The mention of this rarity of a nightmare among ghosts made me wonder about the different classification of ghosts in the world. It also made us curious about what experience could a person have before their death to make their ghost so feared and powerful as a nightmare is. It really fueled us to keep progressing the story. In the notes scattered throughout the game, you also find mentions of werewolves and vampires, and if they really want to make more games in this universe, we really would love to see them expound on how these different paranormal creatures interact with each other. The setting itself is also very intriguing. The game is set in 1695 America and does a great job of imagining a paranormal disaster taking place in that era. It paints an accurate picture of the historical background of the time and seamlessly integrates it with the supernatural. Spectre-infested battlegrounds where colonizers fought against the natives, Puritan communities suspecting Banishers of being heretics, and fresh paranoia surrounding witches as the Salem witch trials occurred just a few years prior to the events of the game. Antea and Red are also great protagonists. They have great chemistry, but are also different people.
Your apprentice stands ready to serve. Come on, Antea, we need to go. I need to pee.
While they are partners in both the professional and romantic sense, you can tell they have beliefs and views separate from each other, and it makes for an interesting pair of lenses for which the player can view the events, settings, and characters of the game.
Antea, wait.
Wait for what? We're Banishers. Death to the dead.
Let Esther choose for herself.
While we have high praise for the story of the game, we can't say the same for the gameplay. Well, if we want to be specific, the combat isn't as polished as we like. The side questing is fairly fun. Solving mysteries and playing detective for the people you meet on your journey is really enjoyable. It also serves as a great medium to further flesh out the lore and the NPC's personalities. It all makes New Eden feel a lot more alive, despite the throngs of dead just walking about the place. But it's battles that are lackluster at best and tediously frustrating at worst. While it has some interesting ideas like the tag team aspects of the battles, it's just not as satisfying or as action-packed as we think it could be. Red's attacks lack impact and feedback and just doesn't feel satisfying. Banish, the one skill that feels weighty, sometimes feel like Red's just giving the enemy a whittle tickle in the tummy with how little damage it does to some enemies.
You'll get it next time.
Fighting more than 3 enemies at a time is also really frustrating. This is mostly due to the lock-on mechanic. The control for switching your target is mapped to the right stick, the same control you use to look around. You'll often accidentally switch targets when you just wanted to look around. Sure, there's a danger sensor thing that gives you a rough idea of where out of vision enemies are and when they're attacking, But still, your first instinct is to want to see where your enemy is. There also isn't much enemy variety at the start, so fights get monotonous fairly quickly, and you just kinda hope that players aren't tired of the game by the time you do get to more enemy variety. There are multiple endings, and right at the beginning, it makes you choose what ending you want to have. Bring back Antia, or uphold the Banisher's principles of letting the dead move on? Choosing your ending right at the start? Kinda lame, you might think. But the cool thing about Banishers is that as you progress through the main story and side stories, it tests your resolve to see if you will actually stay true to your decision at the start. And personally, it's a pretty interesting concept.
Do we kill to be together again?
Or do we part forever?
We must decide now.
The game's environments look great and immersive. There's a good amount of variation in the environments. With vibrant greens, underground caverns, ghostly realms, your eyes will not get tired of looking at the screen. During the loading screens, you're also treated to some stunning art of the game's environments. However, the performance could be a little better. We played on both the PS5 and the PC, and each had their own set of problems. The PS5 would chug along and stutter in certain parts and would feel jarring at times. On the PC, it would crash from time to time even on a fairly high-end system. And in both cases, we would get stuck on the terrain once or twice, but nothing most people couldn't fix by loading the game. It's tedious and it shouldn't happen, but not too big of a problem, and could probably be fixed in later updates. The music elevates the eerie vibe of the game, making you feel like you're in an area that you shouldn't be in.
Something feels off.
The veil is thin here. The dead are many.
And the voice acting performances are wonderful and really conveys the helplessness of the situation at hand.
Lo, the halfpenny Redeemer come to save us. Thou may enter, O great Savior.
Banishers really shines when it comes to the story, but falls off with its combat. If you're looking to get this for the gameplay, maybe you should reconsider or wait for a sale. But if you're a fan of Dontnod and their story-focused games, or if you just want a good story in general, Banisher's plot will carry you through the somewhat tedious gameplay. It's just that good. You can complete the main story in about 20 to 30 hours, but the game has a lot in store for you beyond that. So for a $50 to $60 game, it provides a decent value. We're giving Banishers Ghost of New Eden a 7.4. Well, what do you think of the game? Which ending did you get? Tell us in the comments. Oh, and don't forget to spoiler tag it for people who haven't played it yet though. And again, like if you liked, subscribe if you want more video game and video game related content, and we'll see you in the next one.